Yes, Chair, Board, we've got one add-on, and we'd like to put it with the board's permission under ARPA Review B, and that would be Resolution 03231F, funding for Early Care and Development Foundation of Becker County.
Okay, anyone else have anything? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by John, second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. Minutes. Corrections, additions, deletions.
Under appointments. Under appointments, the second one, motion and second to reappoint David Wamseth from District 4 to Planning Commission. Does that make more sense?
Correct, yeah.
The other thing, I'm not sure what, under a report where it says work session committee of the whole,
Yeah.
was that referring to our,
Well, I'm wondering if that whole number one, Pat, you could just eliminate that whole thing. It's just a report. It got confusing after, because there was, it's kind of a run-on with funding from funding from opioid, dental, EDA, tribal, executive. I mean, all that's not accurate. So maybe we just pull that whole paragraph out, number one.
Yep.
You could just say a report was given. And then on number 3.2.3, motion second to move forward with the item list for county highway projects to secure quotes. Probably just say which will be brought back to board for approval.
yeah. Then another on page 4, the planning and zoning, I think that should say review RFP, not RFQ.
Yeah, I looked at that line too, and it's accurate, but it's just a little. Is that an RFP or an RFQ?
It would be an RFP. RFQ is request for qualifications. RFP is request for proposal. I think the direction of the board was to create an RFP and send it to vendors that were qualified.
Yeah. I would say on page 3, under human resources, I would just like on number 2, it says motion to update the 23 employee holiday handbook as it's defined in the contract at the end of that sentence. And then under IT, motion second to approve the ARVIG contract renewal. We should probably add a little bit more information on that, just what contract that is and for what amount. And then number 3 on sheriff, motion second to approve resolution. It was a request, it says ARPA request, but maybe a request for emergency management trailer for the amount to be paid from ARPA, out of ARPA.
Yep.
And that was all I had. And anyone else?
I'll take care of the ones I have.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Erica,
I'll second.
second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Open forum. Casey Clem. When you come up, just state your name and address for the record. And
Casey Clem, 21467 Dobry Road.
okay, sure. You can just give them to Erica, she'll pass.
Thank you.
We brought a little agenda. Got some of the residents of Little Floyd Lake over there. We have a concern with a property adjoining my property. Got got the parcel number there, property address, the Ogapi Schoolhouse. Everybody knows what it is, where it's at. It's been neglected for a period of time. I'm just gonna go briefly down. We brought some pictures with, so you guys can look through that. Home is in need of repair. It was condemned years ago, but seems nobody can find the filing on that. It has no indoor plumbing. The septic is not certified. The last certification we can find is 74, and it was a septic hooked up to a purple trailer, and that's been long gone from years ago. There's a very foul smell over there. He's within 1,000 feet of the lake. He's within 1,000 feet of the Pelican River shed, the river. So we're here to ask you guys to take a look at this property and what can we do about it? It's obviously making the rest of the properties look bad as far as he's got garbage everywhere. He's got inoperable vehicles everywhere. We got police reports in here. We're starting to have problems with the people that are living with him. Now, the one police report was in here of burning garbage. Well, that's not legal. And he's got garbage like 3 feet deep all around his building. Loud parties. There's also what we've had encountered in the last 2 months was the people that are living with him are starting to knock on our windows, start bothering the neighbors. She just had an instance with a guy with a chainsaw, tried to stop her in the middle of the road. We got all the police reports right in here. We're asking you guys to at least look at this property and see where we can take it to the next level. I know you guys can't do anything about the housing part of it, but we should be able to figure out if it's doesn't have a certified septic and he's that close to a waterway, that is not in compliance with zoning. And I was going to try to work with Kyle. I want to get a nuisance order on inoperable vehicles. He's got 6, 7 of them there, motorhome sitting there. And we just want to get something started. This has been 30, 40 years in the making. It's an eyesore. It's becoming a detriment to our properties out there now. And we need to do something about it. And that's why we put in the bottom here. I know it might be a little too soon, but we're going to come back to the next meeting and we want to stay on top of this. We want to stay, we want to voice our opinion today. And there's a couple other neighbors that want to talk to you about what their concerns are, but we don't want to take up a lot of your time, but we want you to be aware of the situation out there.
I don't think this is the first time we've heard, maybe not from all of you, but about the property. So we'll hear some more people and we'll see which direction we go. We are looking at, it might not address this specifically, but we're looking at changing our ordinance or adding to our ordinance about the penalty process because we don't have very much many resources when we do get to that penalty stage. And so we're looking at rewriting that to make it and maybe not be financial, but we want to have some more teeth behind what we can do. So we're in the process of that, but that's not a very short-term fix. That's, I mean, because that will take some time to do as we're moving through our ordinances and our whole comp plan. But this is, I think Pat can chime in too, that this is part of our comprehensive plan. This type of thing will, drive what we're doing or what we're kind of looking for to achieve in our next 10-year comp plan. And these type of properties would be discussed and said, how do we address them? And through ordinance, we have some penalty parts in there that we could maybe get to. But, in the past, we've looked at nuisance ordinances, and that's what this property is. And it's a nuisance or a hazard. And we didn't move forward with it. We didn't have support at the board. But it might be something that we get pushed or that we get looked at as we move forward in that comp plan too.
And we have, as of right now, we have a couple of the sheriffs working with Detroit Township on the housing aspect of it, because TJ's mom passed away here last fall, so she usually takes care of, keeps an eye on the property and keeps an eye on TJ. Well, now she's passed away, and we don't know if Joe's still alive, so there's nobody taking care of, and it's nothing against TJ, the guy that lives there. He needs a better place to live, and if it can't be in compliance, it can't be. If it's not in with the zoning, we just can't have that. I mean, being that, especially that close to it, it's one thing if you're out 80 acres out in the middle of nowhere, you should still be in compliance, but you're next to a waterway, you're next to a lake, and to have something like this, it can't have that.
How old is this TJ?
I think he's in his upper 30s, 40.
40s?
Yeah. And couple of Todd's employees, for the sheriff's department, they come out there and they said, we know that, he's mentally challenged. And so he living there in this kind of condition is not good for him or for the neighborhood.
Since he is mentally challenged, has anybody made reports, like a vulnerable adult report to Human Services?
We have, but then as far as that goes.
Okay.
And I think we're pretty persistent this time, as far as we're just going to keep after this and keep following up until something becomes of it. And I know there's only so much you guys can do, but I think there's going to be more and more of these places out there that it would be good if you guys could get your, like you said, your ordinance, your laws changed a little bit so we can try to head some of this off at the pass.
If this was in the city limits, I think obviously it would have been done a long time ago.
Right.
Because this property is probably getting to, I mean, just looking at the pictures, probably inhabitable. I mean, it's not a safe
Right.
property for someone to be living in, but.
As I mentioned to Casey yesterday, who have the same situation on County 17, that was in about 200 feet of Melissa. Same thing, no septic system, no nothing, and house burnt and he's still living in there. And so it's a big issue, not only there, but other places too, we gotta deal with, so.
Sure. And that's why we want to start with you guys today. We're starting with the housing. We're trying to get that figured out. As concerned neighbors, we would like to find a different spot for him, obviously, because it's not good to live in those kind of conditions. And that's why we're here.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you.
Mark?
Good morning, Mark DeMay. I live at 20874 Hughesby Road, basically across from the House of Agape. I just want to add, Barry already talked about it, is that myself and some of my neighbors, we were here prior to the pandemic reporting this issue. And now we're here, 5-6 years later. Nothing's happened except the house has deteriorated, actually worse and more. So so just to follow up that, hey, we'd like to see something done. Primarily, we're here, to get that part and to move on and get TJ and whomever a human, place to live, basically, is what we're here for. So, and yeah, it was condemned. Myself and a few of my neighbors, remember, there was a sign and there was yellow tape over the door and all of that. But as far as finding any record of that seems to not be found. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I think we all, if you've read in the Fargo Forum, there was a similar case just this last couple months in Fargo where they condemned a house and in the city limits, and the individual was adamant to stay there. And I mean, so it's a fine line, government overreach and I mean, property rights. It's a tough line for groups like us to travel, but I think when you get to this point, it's getting to the extreme. I mean, just by the history and by looking at it. So
Yeah, we'd like, for his sake and everything, the other thing is right next to, out the end of his driveway is the school bus stop for kids. Every morning, every day, every night. So they get off the bus right there at his place and amongst his people that are there.
thanks, Mark. Al?
I'll make this short here. I've been there since 92. I live at 20936 Hughesby Road. And I've known TJ, the owner, for years. I consider him my friend and everything, but I tried to encourage him over the years to clean up the house and do some yard work and mow your grass, and he just doesn't have the ambition to do it, but I always encourage him to do it. And I'd like to see him in a better place, and it is an eyesore, and I'd like to see things better. I've been in the house. He's been nice enough for me to bring me in the house, and he had to show me a stereo he had. And I tell you, I couldn't live in there. There was junk. The kitchen is just full of junk. You can't walk in the kitchen. He just lives in the living room and sleeps on the couch. And he used to burn wood, but I don't think he does much of that anymore. He's just got a small electric heater that keeps him warm. So it's not good. So I just like to see him get into a better place eventually someday. So it's just gonna just wish for better things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Al. Eric?
Eric Lundy, 20936 Hughesby Road. I'm really concerned with the garbage over there and the vehicles. It's really bad for the environment. There's a river there next door. Neighbors seen them go over to the river to get water because they don't got running water. They don't got septic system hooked up. He needs a better place to live. Neighbors are frustrated. It's been condemned. We just want to see something happen if we can. Better place for him to live. Maybe in town where there's electric heat, he's got running water, running sewer. I think that'd be a good plan for him. So.
Yeah, I think, everyone's brought up, they want something better for him too, which is really, really good community, spirit. I think we have to look at this a multifaceted issue as in our human services. How do we find some, and unfortunately, he might not want something different, but I think for the best interest of everyone, there should be something, and again, I'm speaking generally in cases like this, because I don't know the specific details of this one. But it's a multifaceted problem. Not only these type of properties are a problem, but the individuals we also want to help and get a better lifestyle, maybe a life change for them.
Yeah.
And that's where some behavioral things in human services could help.
Yeah, that'd be good. Because right now his place doesn't follow zoning laws either. You gotta have a septic hooked up. You gotta have running water. We don't know. Like he's got to have a place to go to the bathroom, and it's a mess over there. It's a lot of garbage. If he burns garbage, that's very illegal and it's not good for the environment. So I
would also encourage just everybody, if you've already made reports, continue to make them. If the situation hasn't gotten better, continue to make them, even if you feel like nothing's happening. Just continue to make the reports, and hopefully at some point something can change.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Scott? Hildy?
Yeah, my name is Scott Hildy, 41999 County Highway 56, Frazee. I live out by Toad Lake. Anyway, I was just gonna bring up that Lakes Area Patriots, it's a 501(c) non-affiliated party. It's just a group of citizens. We're having a town hall on Sunday, March 19th at 2 p.m. at the Interdenominational Christian Fellowship Church, located on Meadow Drive off Highland Drive. And there's going to be local and state representatives and senators that are going to be speaking, just alerting and making people aware of pending legislation in the State House and the Senate, and the bills that have been recently passed, like the draconian abortion bill, the blackout bill, which will increase electric rates and could have brownouts and blackouts with this kind of thing. And bills attacking our right to personal protection under the Second Amendment. And then in checking on some websites, Becker County has weak wording in the Second Amendment sanctuary county status, so I didn't know if there's a way to get that looked at, to get that written into the Constitution, or to make the wording better so that we are recognized as a sanctuary county for the Second Amendment.
Okay, thank you. And I think the best thing for citizens to do is contact your legislators. There is some very, in my opinion, some very concerning legislation. And you touched on a couple of them. I mean, there's things that are going to cost counties money that for next year's budget, such as the family leave. So there's some very concerning things. And I think if we talk to all of our legislators and senators, I think it's very important. I think in some of the gun issues, I think our Senator Kopak from Moorhead is one of the deciding votes on that. And I know our Sheriff Glander has written a letter not in support of those new rules in the House and the Senate. I don't know if they're combining, but a House file I know, and they are very concerning. And I think we can reiterate that we are support the Second Amendment, and it is it's a symbolic, and either both, however you word it, it's symbolic because we can't overstep the state. I mean, county law can't overstep state or federal law, but these are, I mean, I won't get into the specifics on some of my concerns on them, but they are concerning, and I urge you to contact your legislators and give your opinions to that. So thank you for letting us know of that meeting with the legislators. Certainly, I think as commissioners individually, we could certainly, we have contact with them oftentimes, and we will reiterate our opinions, but and reiterate that we are a Second Amendment county. I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but I think we are opposed to some of those, if not all of those rules coming down the pipe. But I think individuals are key to, at least locally, how to get your voice across.
Just a comment, I have been in contact with Senator Kopak himself on this proposed gun legislation, and he's concerned about a lot of it too. So, and he's looking into it further, and told him to keep in contact if he sees anything, and I'll keep shooting him a few emails to make sure we're looking at that way. So.
And I've been to a couple of those town hall meetings here, one with him and with Steve Green and Paul Edke and Joy. And the best thing, and after looking into this and talking to a lot of you people, and I've gotten some phone calls about it, the best thing is, like these guys are saying, is contact your representatives. We can have all kinds of stuff, draw up all kinds of stuff here in the county, but it really is just how we feel. We can't put any teeth in it. So we need to stop it at the state level. That's where it needs to stop at. And it is there. There is some very concerning stuff in there. So, but the best way is everybody contact your representative and let them know how you feel.
The one that strikes me as the most, I won't use the term, but ridiculous is requirement to lock your guns up and your ammunition in separate safe. I mean, but you can carry them on your person. It's not recognizing rural America or rural Minnesota, and it's disturbing. So we'll leave it at that and move on with our agenda. I want to thank you. There's no one else to speak that has signed up to speak. So thank you for your concerns on the troubled house. We will try to coordinate some sort of response to try to look into that. I do feel that it's going to take something serious to make the big change, though. I mean, it's not going to be I think it, when you're set in a house like that, it's going to take forcible action to do something, to change it completely. If you read that case in Fargo, and that's what it came down to. I don't think, that's how I think it's gonna have to end for this to improve to what you guys wanted. So we'll have to look at, and that's gonna take some time, because we're gonna have to change our ordinance to put some teeth in it and have an ordinance condemning houses, or condemning unlivable or unsafe places. So when we have our meetings coming up this year, we are going to have comprehensive meeting or for the county for the next 5-10 years, a comprehensive plan. That's when we need you to speak up and say, these are our concerns, and we don't want these in our community. And that gets brought back to the decision making, and then we can enact on that. So don't think that those meetings won't mean anything. They'll mean something too. Then they'll happen. What time frame do you think, Pat? This summer, probably?
Well, we have an RFP that's gonna go out next week, and then, once we get vendors selected, the board will have to approve that vendor, but I would like to be able to start, before the summer.
But that is a 1 year process. It's not a 2-month process. It's a process. But once we get that, then we can enact ordinances to support that. So you're free to stay as long as you want. You can move in and out of the meeting anytime you want. So we'll continue on our meeting, and thank you for showing up today. I know Brian Rubenstein is here. We will move ahead in the agenda because he has something later on or later. So we'll bump him up to our next item.
Hey, yeah, I do. How's it going?
Good, and congratulations.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah.
Commissioner now, man.
I recognized you as soon as you came up.
Yeah, you're the best gym teacher.
Tell everybody that.
Well, I heard Harry Solomon was it because he would throw, when people were diving in the pool, he'd throw stuff at them when they were, if you remember Harry, he was a former commissioner too, long time ago. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Good morning, commissioners.
Here we have an interesting prospect.
Yes, I've been talking to Pat over the last couple of weeks here about potentially moving our probation office that's on 3rd floor here to our felony office, which is across from Dental Associates. It's right down there by M&H. For us in the DOC, we practice lean processes. We have mentorship programs involved, and we also look to advocate for the best interests of our clients. Some of the things that happen is our clients are getting confused as to where to show up for their visits. That's one of the things that I've been hearing from my staff. Second is the majority of our senior staff are located over at the 1135 Washington Avenue building. So with your permission, I would like to actually relocate our staff, including our 2 part-time support staff that we have with our county, which would then again be a positive for the county to free up some of your space upstairs. The only thing that I would ask is, with the board's permission, is some of the equipment maybe come with them, such as their chairs and a couple of the desks, et cetera. But I see this to be a seamless process at no cost to the county. And so all of our probation services in Becker County would be all under one roof. So basically, it's kind of a win-win for both sides. But just wanted to have a quick discussion here with you folks.
Would the employees stay county employees?
They would for right now.
Okay.
And what I will be working on with Pat over the next however long it takes is we would like to actually transition them into state employees, but then covered by a county bill back. So we've done that with some of our agents in the past and some of our support staff, where basically there are employees, but the county is paying a portion of theirs.
So today we were just looking for the
Just the
move.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I think that's good because we want to make sure long-term this is not gonna cost us.
Correct.
Brian, just clarification. I thought there was 3 part-timers. Are 2 part-time, 1 full-time or?
Nope. So a good point, John. There are 2 part-time support staff, and they each work up to 28 hours a week. Okay. And then we have Steve Billhauer, who used to be our diversion worker, our Title IV-E worker, but we are collapsing that position. Okay. So that position is going to be used in other ways. But as far as right now, that is going to be out of our budget. We're vacating that position. That'll probably be another county board meeting to talk with the sheriff, et cetera, in regards to what we're doing with that one.
Okay.
So we only have two.
Okay, thanks.
So, and then the other main piece for your approval, we had paid for several of the desks up there with our supervision fee money that's collected from our clients. Basically bringing over some office chairs and some desks, and that's really it. So,
Do you think we need a motion to authorize the employees to change location and bring in their associated furniture if needed, or?
You know, if you'd like to, Commissioner, what I would say is I think you were looking at an April move date.
yes,
And so much of it, as Brian has said, is owned already by the state. I think there may be some small equipment, IT related, that kind of thing, but I think it's very insignificant. But you're certainly entitled to a motion, but I think at this time, this is really information for you. And I think the direction we were hoping to get from the board is certainly when that space becomes available, you know, space is a premium here. And so the idea of either setting up a committee or going through some kind of process to identify what that space could be for the county would be something I would recommend the board certainly be involved with. And we could take it through the courthouse committee steps if that's what the board would like. But I don't see a motion that's necessary right now, but the board can do a motion if you like.
I think we discussed at the sheriff's committee and the sheriff was in favor of that transition and moving on, I think. And if we need a motion, I'd make a motion.
one of the things that we do have up in that third floor office is we have our main entry area. So if IT ever wanted to use it, that whole entry area is attack proof, and there's security components built into that office. So if nothing changed, you would have a secure office in the back. If you needed to vacate that entire space and redo it, I mean, obviously that would be up to you folks, but there is some stuff in there that we have done in the past.
I guess the board entertain a motion to allow those employees to move to transition to the, and
Take
use
whatever
their,
necessary.
take their state furniture and any furniture that.
Well, and technically on the books, Barry, it is county furniture,
Okay.
but it was paid in kind with supervision fees through our county budget.
Well, why don't we just, I mean, why don't we acknowledge that this is okay, and then we can identify what pieces we're talking about, just to make sure that
There's 3 desks. We'll probably take 2. And then there's like 4 office chairs
so, yeah, for waiting room type thing. And
the agent's chairs. Yeah.
why don't we just motion to acknowledge this transition over to the state building then, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, motion by John,
A second.
second by Erica. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And then get with Pat or the committee and just see what furniture is needed for that transition.
Perfect.
So if that's okay with the board?
Thank you all for your
Thank you,
time.
Brian.
Appreciate it.
If I could add, Commissioner Nelson, certainly there's going to be interested stakeholders in that space. It's actually quite a large space with lots of units in their separate office.
Yep,
space.
there's 5 offices up there,
Right.
so.
And actually an internal restroom as well. So I would the board be comfortable for us to kind of review options with courthouse committee? Would that be the move that the board did?
Yeah, we got a lot of time for it too.
Okay.
So.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Brian. I'm thinking, Pat, I don't know, should we move to under administrator number 2B? I see
If you like, yeah.
Kelsey, want to come up?
Yep.
I know you guys, unless you want to stay for the whole term, because it's,
And just Commissioner Nelson and board, so there's a resolution 03231F that's before you, requesting $35,000 to go to the funding for early care and development foundation, of which these two are members of. This has gone through the EDA, it's gone through finance as well, and with your permission, they'd like just to speak to you.
absolutely.
So my name is Tammy Anderson. I'm the Child Care Project Manager throughout Becker County.
I'm Kelsey Vardy. I'm the chair for the Early Care and Development Foundation.
And I think this isn't a new conversation because we've been chatting about it for a while. And I just want to thank all of you for your leadership and support of childcare. It's made a big impact throughout the county. And we aren't here today to talk about the need because all of you know the need and the importance of it. What we want to talk about is the new Early Care and Development Foundation of Becker County, which we like to refer to the ECDF because it's a mouthful. And we want to continue the work that you started because as you know, you've had some great opportunities with the emergency funds that you had for family providers and center providers. And then you also had the startup dollars to encourage family providers to start. And we did have many new providers start and are doing business now that wouldn't have started without those dollars. So that grant is now ended, but there's money left over. And so we want to be able to continue the work that Becker County started. That's why we created the ECDF fund in order to do that. And how that works is we have an advisory committee. Kelsey is the chairperson of that. And we'd encourage someone from the county to serve on that. We have someone from the city serving on that. Representation from childcare, active and retired, education, business, purposely selecting who should be on there countywide, because that's the other thing too. This is a countywide opportunity. And our goal is to raise dollars, which will be set through, it's a fund within West Central Initiative. And then providers can apply for grants because we need to retain the ones we have and we need to encourage capacity for new providers. So that's what we're here today to talk about, to see if you'll approve dollars. I should share that we're approved for $10,000 through the city of Detroit Lakes. And our intent is to also visit the smaller communities and then raise dollars through individuals and businesses and the like. So any questions for Kelsey or I?
This is went through our EDA and recommended by the EDA to move forward.
Yep, I think we had a couple different meetings where we discussed it.
We've been looking at this for a while and there's quite a need for it for childcare. And we were unable to give that money to anybody. We tried to, because there is quite a need for it and we were unable to give it out. So.
Yeah, we earmarked, I think $100,000 initially with the federal CARES money, and then so that is the remaining balance of that we earmarked for childcare. So hopefully this can do some good and find some efficiencies and some other people willing to step up and do this. But if as far as a board member, I maybe someone from EDA as a representative being that's going through EDA, maybe EDA would be a good, but that can be decided another time if you're looking for another board member.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it doesn't have to be decided today.
Okay. So I think Pat gave us let's see where it is.
Resolution
1F.
1F, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, wishes of the board.
I make a motion to move 1F.
Okay, motion by Richard,
I'll second it.
second by Erica. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
All right, got that one done. Let's see, we're going on to reports and correspondence unless you see something that we can, there's people, I think we're gonna have to stay on schedule now, right? 8:55, reports and correspondence. I'll let you guys get organized. I had Lakeland Mental Health, just a quick report on that, the annual meeting, and I think everyone got a booklet. Had over 8% margin or profit for the year, which is very good. Psychiatry is still in the positive, which is very difficult. And I think the pandemic has actually helped in some ways because now they're allowing that telehealth more to be used more readily. And then you can charge back for that. So that's helped greatly. They're building a new building in Moorhead. We did not borrow any funds for that. That was using our reserve funds. So that's going to draw down our reserves quite a bit because that's a 3-phase project. The first, there's new construction on the adjoining the existing building, then there's remodel of part of it. And then while they move into the new building, they're remodeling the old part, and then they remodel a third part of it to finalize. And that's, we'll finish in the summer of 24, I believe, the third phase of that. And again, they're asking then next year, there might be a small increase in requests from counties. So that's my first report. Anyone have anything they want to ask on that one? If not, I'll move on to extension. We had extension meeting. We have 24 master gardeners. We have, Becker County is a volunteer county. Just in master gardeners, they had over 1,000 hours of volunteer work. And that's a big commitment, and they go and they answer questions for everyone. I'll hand out, if you want to look at a impact report, this is from the 4-H by the numbers. Becker County has 230 active members, and they're still counting because you always are enrolled annually. And we have 73 volunteers just in the 4-H. There's 9 Becker County 4-H clubs, and some are more active than others, but they are a very good asset. If you're looking for fruit, they have the fruit sales now, so.
I wanted to make note too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Becker County was in the top 3 counties in the state of Minnesota for the number of volunteers. We're pretty top notch for having volunteers, so.
Yeah, it was kind of specific to one age group, but it was kind of, we were in the top, and I think that could
Specifically
transfer.
for 4-H.
Correct. We have something that was brought to us under Pat. We're going to ask for some contribution to a leadership. Let me go through some more. Anyone have Richard and I, do you want to report? Are you reporting on land use, or Richard and I had natural resources. We're looking at purchasing the Bucks Mills property still, and that's where they would change. We're working with the DNR to get the money to purchase some property there to pull that dam out. If you're familiar with that property, it's a beautiful spot to go and look at the waterways and they're looking at taking the dam out and creating a long rock. What would you call it? Changing the river so it's a rock. It's dropping in rock.
Yeah, so the fish can get back up.
Yeah, so the sturgeon.
Dam, it would be just a.
It would not, and it would be engineered to allow the same amount of water to go released.
Dockware.
Also looked at the tram update. Looking at purchasing some cable just to fix it for temporary.
It'd be cable, different motor and different controls.
Okay.
Just got some pricing yesterday late, so.
Okay. Conservation land fund, there's a couple pieces of property that have been given up that were sold to this conservation land from the Potlatch. They're looking to try to get it back into public hands. There's 2 parcels that Becker County is interested in. We're trying to see if the state will buy them instead of the county, but there's some risks. If they don't, then they might not be available to us. So we're looking at, there was numerous properties, but we looked at 2 specific that would have some value to us, right?
Right.
We're going to discuss the RAC committee later. Anything else on?
Just that we were gonna move that maybe from that township road, then see if they could use that County Highway 38 and then that 4-wheeler trail.
Oh, yeah.
Trail.
Woods and Wheels had a request to drive on County 38, and we would have to have an ordinance through Highway Committee to allow them to run on a section of road, because the ditch, it's wetlands in the ditch bottom, so they can't run that. So we're running that through Highway to write an ordinance to allow them to drive on the road shoulder. If you're familiar with rules, ATVs aren't allowed to drive on the roads. UTVs are required to drive on the roads. It's kind of so if you have a small 4-wheeler, they're supposed to be in the ditch, but the big Rangers, Johnson Gators, are supposed to be on the road and licensed. So.
Years ago, we did have it was an ordinance that was passed that allowed snowmobiles and I believe ATVs, there was obstacles in the ditch to pull up single file on the edge of the road. But highway should have that.
And we're
Jim could find it.
We're trying to get them into Wolf Lake. That's
right.
And that's why we're doing it.
I know where the area is, sir.
Yeah, they're trying to get into town and And so that's the reason for that.
Okay, announce again, March 16th, we're having the 75th anniversary for Becker County Soil and Water. John and I have been at the Public Works meetings. It's going along very well. They're welding hangers from the roof to put the crane on, and had a minor adjustment that they had to do, but otherwise everything's still track.
I missed last week, we had plasma, so.
Courthouse, is everything on the agenda on courthouse, I think, so.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyone else?
One thing on courthouse is just a reminder, Becker Bay auction. Tomorrow's the last day to turn in the stuff to be auctioned off. So get a hold of Sandy Gunderson, take a picture and send it to her. If you have anything to auction off.
Okay, be sure to be it up. And for those that don't know, this is a fundraiser from Becker County employees and commissioners. Completely donated items from employees, and then other employees or public can bid on them through our website to buy them. And all the proceeds go to food pantry at Becker County. And we usually raise a couple $1,000s, and this year's goals is 2023. Hopefully we can make that. Any other reports?
Yeah, Barry, I can go quick. I had a couple. Again, Waddington Park planning meeting, it's moving forward. Frazier's gonna start working on a bonding request for improvements. Hopefully they talk about a second bonding bill this year. Sounds like the first one got passed by the House yesterday. Then they got RFP going out for consulting firm for planning for the many different phases over the years that the park will be experiencing. At Prairie Lakes Municipal Solid Waste, excuse me, we ended the year 2022 with a profit of about $400,548, and we made a motion to pay back Otter Tail County about half of that for the debt they incurred several years ago on a bonding bill, or financing. Becker County entered the year with 768 tons of garbage in surplus, while Clay County is negative, just about 1,600 tons. And they're working with both counties, probably come Becker County back a little and letting Clay County bring a little bit more to get that adjusted. We're having an issue with wet loads. We're going to be working on a policy to handle these loads. Basically, when you get a real wet load from being exposed to the water, rain and stuff, it creates havoc, not only in the operation down there, but it affects the steam generation. And
Have you heard any more about the legislation about incinerators,
they're working on, as of now, they think something like this is exempt, but they're on top of it, and they're writing letters and following that pretty darn close. So.
and the reason we're so concerned is there was legislation proposed that would basically ban incinerators, and common sense just doesn't, there's no common sense to that, because the incinerator is the best form of, it's much better than putting it in the landfill. So why would, it's the most regulated industry there is, that smoke coming out of there is less pollutant. We can burn garbage in the incinerator for a month, and it's less pollutants that come from that smokestack than if you burn one bag of garbage in a rural. So I'm glad to hear that's, but because that would cost Becker County and the surrounding counties millions of dollars for no reason. And there's lots of things in incineration that don't make sense. And here's an example. We pay a tax on our garbage, on the cost of garbage. So our tax, we have a higher tax, or we have a higher collection rate of our garbage because we do a better job, I will say, recycling or reusing that garbage as energy or waste energy. So we pay a higher dollar amount than those that just bring it to the landfill because we feel it's a better use. So so you're taxed on the dollar amount, not on the use. So we have a higher dollar amount. We're paying a higher rate because it's twice the cost. And then we're doing a better job at reusing that. It doesn't, and we've fought this battle for years, and we have not gained anything. We were close one year in getting incinerator garbage reduced in that tax, but it did not go through. So there's lots of battles that we've fight that you usually don't hear about that are trying to save us money and to support common sense sometimes, but anything else, John?
Just, two big steam users down there is Tuffy's and then Baumgart's. And Tuffy's is the only one that they have a clause in that we can adjust the price yearly. So theirs usually went up about 8% for the coming year.
So when you're out buying your cheese, Baumgart Cheese buys your garbage through the energy, just.
Oh. And then we had SO, and I think hopefully Dave and I had the last negotiations for a while.
Hopefully, yeah.
And sheriff's stuff is pretty much on the agenda today, so.
Okay, anything else to report?
I had Mahubi Atwa meeting. Just wanted to let everybody know that their wait list is down for Head Start. So if you know anybody with small children, encourage them to apply for Head Start. Then I also attended the AMC Planning and Zoning training last Friday, which was very helpful in my role on the Planning and Zoning Commission, or the Planning Commission. We had our Planning Commission meeting last Wednesday, and I just wanted to make sure the board knew that there was a lot of frustration expressed by the commission, that our board does not follow their recommendations. So hopefully, as we move forward with updating our zoning or our comprehensive plan, they can feel better about that, but many of the members did express some concerns about that. So that's all I have.
I have a couple.
Go ahead.
So the Historical Society, we didn't meet, but we were updated with an email, and they opened they're supposed to open on Wednesday last week because we had a blizzard or storm. They didn't open until Thursday, but Becky Mitchell emailed all of us and she said it went really, really well. And so they're excited about that. And then again, now they don't have the museum part open yet. That's not going to open until the end of May or early June. But they have all of their stuff over there to get ready to start setting it up. So their hours of operation currently are going to be Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Their goal is to be open on Sunday afternoons and to also be open later in the evenings as they go forward. They've hired a full-time person to work in the box office and the gift shop. And just being open for 3 days, she's realized that they need more help. So she is going to send out or post 2 part-time positions. One is going to be a general museum person that will be able to float from upstairs to downstairs. And then she's also going to hire another person to work the front desk and help in the gift shop when the full-time person can't be there in the gift shop. So then I also had a DAC meeting. And unfortunately at the DAC, their bus got destroyed. One of their buses got totaled, and so they're looking to replace that. It got totaled out at about $18,000. So they're not obviously looking for a brand new one, but they need to get something to use because it has to have. Their bus they had before had 2 wheelchair accessible areas to put in wheelchair clients. So they're looking. So if anybody knows anything about how they could do that, they're trying to do that. We also talked about employee recognition. So I thought they did a couple interesting things. Their employees receive a $50 holiday gift card every year to Target, and they purchase these by using their points on the business credit card they use for the DAC. So it doesn't cost them anything. And then they also have an employee appreciation day where this last time they gave all the employees a jacket that had a logo of the DAC on it. So they all thought that was pretty cool. And then last thing on the DAC, Marlene Smith, who's the executive director, she's done a really great job of securing grants. And one of the grants that she secured was a payroll protection grant. And that by securing that grant, that enabled the DAC to not operate in the negative the last year. And then I'm sure it'll help this year also too. So that's going to be a very positive thing. So she's done a good job with that. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
And I had environmental with John. Not much there. We're getting these tall buildings now. We've added on to the MRF out there and the highway building. So we're looking at sharing a lift to maintain these buildings now. So we're looking at buying a lift for that. And then we're going to get a Green Corps member to come and help us with this. We're going to start doing mattress recycling. And so they'll promote that regionally and, ID what's in those mattresses and identify what can be used and, that's about it there. And then I have had quite a few phone calls on the Second Amendment. And some concerns about our new commissioners, and I didn't speak for anybody, but I thought that we were all concerned about our Second Amendment.
Yeah, I am,
would agree.
I agree too.
And so, I don't know, people are wondering about, what our, the last statement, what was it called, Pat, that we made? What would you call that?
The resolution.
The resolution.
Back in 2021.
Yeah, and so they're concerned, maybe we need a new one. I don't know, I know that it's the state, we need to keep the state from making these rules. That's the important thing. The more I check on the resolution, it really doesn't mean anything, but,
I would rather us draft a letter of support, not of support of some specific legislation that we're opposed to. I mean, I would sign off on
yeah.
the legislation that's asking to make us store everything in a safe. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Similar to what Sheriff Glander did.
Yeah, I would be more, I mean, I think that would probably carry
And
more weight
That-
than send
I would like to see
specifically.
that would be,
I
and
would
that
agree.
would tell,
I think the majority of the rural sheriffs have weighed in on that with letters.
Yeah,
I think there was 48 counties.
I think if
So
we
far,
write a
like-
letter like that, we would state that we are I don't know the terminology is, that we are currently a Second Amendment, Second Amendment friendly
we're
county.
Second Amendment supporting, I think is what I
But,
think Sheriff Glander.
and like you said, it's all symbolic, how it's worded.
it
so
is,
it's-
but it would be nice to make them,
But I
agree with
think-
you,
I
Barry,
think we
never
should
thought
write
about
that.
But that would be nice to let them know how we feel about it in
Mhm.
our county, because
Yeah.
most people have very strong feelings.
I think,
Supportive.
I think we should sign that individual. I mean, I think we can have one sheet, and if you choose to sign it, you choose to sign it. If not, you don't.
Right.
I mean, as the board, we won't, I think that would, if we each sign it instead of a board resolution, I think we, like the sheriff did, write a letter and we all sign it individually and not, I think that would carry, and we can send it to our local legislators. I think that would carry more
Yeah,
weight than,
I agree.
so.
That's a good
I
idea.
think it's a great idea.
So we can kind of copy what Sheriff Glanders was and similar to
Yep.
that, if we can wordsmith his a little bit, if that's, and then as individually as you read it, you say, yes, I want that to sign it, and I certainly support that. And I think we should do that, so.
Yeah. that
But
sounds good.
We can get that done right away, and we can do it as individuals, but we all agree that we can sign the same paper or
Mhm.
then.
And the rest of it's gonna be a process, and hopefully it doesn't get, through the Senate, because
Well,
Senator
these
Kupek
just
said
aren't-
he told us he didn't support it, and hopefully he doesn't, but that could change, and so I think people should contact their representatives and like we said before, but.
Yeah. So we just agreed to do it that?
Yep.
You want to do it that way? We'll draft the letter like Sheriff Glander did and. All right. One thing more on reports. I was at Sunnyside and I want to thank the museum has in our one room, the patio room, there's a small display from the museum.
Yep.
It's a very, very nice little display behind glass. Just thank the museum for that. And any other reports?
No.
Okay. Any appointments? I don't know of any appointments today. Moving on, county administrator.
Yeah, and I'll be very brief here. Just to tag along to what Commissioner Myers said, so that auction will be March 15th to March 22nd. The Fish Committee has put that together, and I really like to acknowledge that we've got a number of new people that are on that committee. There's only a couple people on the Fish Committee. It's grown, and so they're doing a lot of events besides the auction that's taking place. So we really appreciate their efforts. A couple other items, employee recognition, that'll be after we adjourn here. We tentatively have it scheduled for 10, but it'll be whatever the board's available. And so once we adjourn, it'll be up in the third floor jury room. You see the sheet that was put before you. We're having to make up for lost time post-COVID. So we are going to be recognizing people that are getting a 5-year recognition on up, but we're going back to 2020 and then 2021 and 2022. So our hope is if the board's available to attend, we'll call out names. We have a certificate for them. Certainly, shaking hands with the board, and then we're going to be doing some photos of each group. And so we're just going to cycle them through, and there will be food there as well. So we're going to be as very efficient with the time as we can. A couple other items. The economic development position is closed for the economic development specialist. We have a number of candidates we'll be interviewing here next week. And so that's exciting to see.
Pat, who's doing the interviewing? Anyone from the EDA board?
We actually haven't settled on the amount, but since the position reports up to the administrator and it's not a departmental level position, we were going to have myself and the HR director and then Steve Skook sit on the interviews. And like I said, we have a small number of candidates to interview.
I would like to ask the board's opinion. I believe that EDA coordinator needs to answer.
Specialist.
Needs to answer to the EDA board. I don't think, why would you have an EDA board if they're not gonna be the driver behind it? And then obviously, as administrator is oversight of all employees, but I want that. I mean, that EDA, and I had some calls from the EDA board. They want to know that they have that it's input from them and that they're directing that individual.
Well, currently right now, if you do look at the enabling resolution, and that's what forms the authority, they do not have oversight over the economic development position. Having said that, that's one of the things I was going to bring up is to bring that enabling resolution through EDA committee because it's outdated. It needs to be updated, not only on number of personnel there, but what the economic development position does. And I'll give you an example. Most authorities have an executive director of the authority. That's usually that staff person. We don't have that written in the enabling resolution. So it's from the mid 1990s. And so I think if the committee is interested in that, I think it starts with updating the enabling resolution, which ultimately does get brought to the board because you guys as a board have final say. So
I think that was my point. We're writing all these policies and I think they need to have some feel that they're driving that. And then ultimately it's a working relationship. It's not something that one's going to overstep, I don't think.
I would agree with you, Barry. And I also just wonder if maybe we could send an email out to the EDA board to see if we have maybe one member that would be willing to help with the interviews.
I would like someone from the board that.
Sure. If the board, that's the board's pleasure. That's not a problem. Yeah.
It's always helpful.
Yeah. And then the final thing relating to economic development is one thing that the county really has never done is what's called a comprehensive economic development strategy. It's called a SEDS. It's really what are the objectives in economic development? How is this employee going to be measured? I've put together a preliminary set that has been reviewed with the ADEA as also the job description of the economic development position the EDA has participated in. So we're going to bring that to the EDA here next EDA meeting. And I'll segue just a couple final items. Leadership training. All our supervisors and department heads are going through leadership training. We're on day 3 now of a 3-day course. It included a personality analysis to kind of assess our weaknesses. It's been well attended by supervisors and department heads, so we're seeing a lot of value in talking with department heads and supervisors about that. And then finally, as it was mentioned on the community-based comprehensive plan, we do have an RFP that we anticipate will go out next week. We're just doing some final benchmarking, but we're very excited about getting that out to vendors. And of course, you had one of the vendors present to you at a previous board meeting. But there's a lot of companies that do that and do it quite successfully. So our hope is to get that out and then get vendors back and bring something back to you at one of the board meetings in April to choose a vendor and start moving forward with this. And that's all I have on reports, and I'll segue right to ARPA review.
I got one question about your report, Pat. At our last board meeting, you were going to look into after Willis and Dr. Henke presented about our moratorium. And I believe you were going to look into to see if the moratorium was processed correctly.
And we're talking about the moratorium for
Feedlots.
feedlots, yeah. So we did assess that, and I think we kind of knew the assessment at the time that that moratorium, as I read the minutes, and the board could disagree on this, but it was really that the board was not going to take any action on feedlots moving forward. It didn't address whether the planning commission would. And the fact is if you're going to do a moratorium where there will be no feedlots being assessed, you really do have to do, and I think Kyle's in the audience here, at least he was, you have to follow very similarly what you would do in developing an ordinance. You'd have to put together guidelines, you would have to have a public hearing. You'd have planning commission certainly would weigh on it, but the board would have to approve it. So I think what I gathered from the meeting when you passed the moratorium is we're not going to consider any more feedlot requests that are coming to the county. But it doesn't eliminate, let's say, a township that has the ordinances in place to be able to consider it individually as a government unit. And so you'd have to go through that public process, because then it would be all encompassing. That would cover the township government units too, by having the public hearing and doing what's really an ordinance that says you're putting a moratorium on further feedlot considerations. And I'm sorry, Kyle, you probably didn't hear everything I said, but do you know if I missed anything on that? And okay. But yeah, so we've done that assessment. And so I think the goal here, if the board wants to hold off on feedlots across the whole county, meaning for townships to even consider it, you would have to start that public process.
Well, my understanding is even for the county to what you're saying is what you thought was proposed. Even we as a county would have to do the public hearing, and that
Yes. Yeah.
for us as a county to not even.
So are we in compliance of not allowing any to come forward?
You are as a county board for any that would come to you as a county, but a township that has its own community-based comprehensive plan,
There
its
is
own
no
zoning.
township that hasn't.
Well, then they wouldn't be able to take action on feedlots unilaterally, but certainly there's been a lot of communication that might be happening. And so both townships and counties are creatures of statute, they're subject to state statutes, but county has oversight if they were to pass an ordinance on various items and go through that process. Townships could not circumvent that. They could make it more strict, but they could not conflict with that.
So our moratorium is intact, and
For the county to consider any things that were come to you, because remember, in the last feedlot event, it was brought to you because the township, although they had some language and ordinances in place relating to approving things, according to their attorney that was here several meetings ago, didn't have all the things, so it defaulted to the county.
But would we, as a county board, have to have a reason through our zoning to deny it? That would be my question.
Right.
Is us just saying we're not gonna, as a board, we're not gonna take any more? Is that what we want?
Mhm.
And is that what, is there any legality to that?
But
That would be my question. And I only say this just because I attended the planning and zoning training last week. And to me, it seems like we have to follow the zoning ordinances also as a board when we're approving stuff. So that would be my question, is even though you're saying that we have that, I would question if we really do have the authority.
Well, if I could
That's
just,
my interpretation too, that if you're gonna impose a moratorium, you gotta go through the legal process with
Yeah.
it and to have any teeth in it,
I think the only thing that wasn't
This
done,
wasn't even on their agenda when we did it.
I thought it was on the
No.
agenda.
no, wasn't, no.
It's not.
And my understanding is we would have to draft a resolution and we would have to sign it, and we would have to at the same time authorize a study in which we have done already in wanting the RFPs for the comprehensive plan.
That's what I was about to explain,
Yeah.
that would be the
And we'd
path
have
to
to have a
follow.
public hearing.
Yes, and then the community-based comprehensive plan would then be the vehicle where you would get public stakeholder input and then finally drive to an ordinance that the board would approve. And then you would lift that moratorium in favor of the ordinance that would address, in this case, feedlots.
Well, I think if you say that we're allowed, that we're good to not allow them to come to the county board, I think.
Well, that was your resolution, but and again, Kyle and I actually met about this and we looked at that statute and I think what I might suggest is since we are moving with the community-based comprehensive plan, I think I would like to strengthen the moratorium that you have and do a resolution. And if that's important to the board, to keep other feedlots to be considered, I think we should go through that process. Because what that does do is it addresses a township government unilaterally approving that, even though, you're suggesting that a township can't do that. They are individual government units of their own right. They have the ability to put together ordinances in their own community-based planning. And the county as the higher authority can circumvent that with that type of resolution.
So then would the next step be at our next meeting or whenever, bring forward a resolution for us to vote on?
Sure, that's what the board's interest is. Yes, absolutely.
Question.
Yeah, you could give that consensus and we could get a resolution before you.
Well, I think if our intent was to have the moratorium and I've had 2 or 3 townships ask specifically for that. So if we need to strengthen it just to make sure, we can certainly do that at our next meeting. I do want to make sure that that we have those similar limits. So we're not stopping, improvements on current farms.
Mhm.
So make it, so it's not just, it's new
Yes.
business coming in.
Yes.
So,
I just read the Fillmore County's having that issue where they had the zoning ordinance on feedlots and sizes and stuff. Now it's conflicting with a family farm where the other generation wants to farm and they have to expand a little and.
that's a pretty big family farm. If you read that
I
article,
read it,
that's
yeah,
not,
it's big,
that's-
but you get more generations coming in and it's.
well, they want to expand on their current farm and where they could
Yeah.
go across the road but they want to expand on their current farm.
No, I read the whole thing on that.
It's significant. It's not adding 100 cows. It's,
No, it's larger ones that you're seeing. You're not gonna get somebody starting up and Gary now with 100 head of cattle because they're not gonna make it.
Can't make it. Yep.
Even 300-400.
Mhm.
yeah, the addition was what, 60,000?
Oh,
No, it wasn't. I don't know if they had the animal units, but it puts them at over that 1,000 animal units.
So anyway, you have direction for our next meeting.
Yep, thank you. Moving to ARPA here, so starting on page 11, if you recall from the last board meeting, you did approve a list of highway departmental projects pending quotes. And so what we're reviewing with you now is reviewing those quotes with you. The first one on page 11 is for the purchase of shop tables. The finance committee would like to see some other quotes beyond what's been put together. And so that's not one we're having you consider. even
Yes,
though it's
we
in the
were
packet.
considering. We were considering up to that dollar amount.
Up
Up to that dollar
Yeah.
amount, yeah. So we're not going to consider that one right now until the
Yeah,
other
we'll
quote comes
approve up
in.
to 8,000.
We'll approve, make a motion to approve
Oh.
the purchase of those tables up to
If
8,000.
you're okay with that, that's fine. Okay, I misunderstood it. So we have that in there. If you go to page 12,
Should we just start
yeah,
approving those?
if you like
I
individually
think
or as a group,
it went through highway committee. So,
and went through finance.
and the first part is purchase shop tables for the new,
Move to approve.
and we could ask that you purchase those up to $8,000
Up to
from
$8,000,
a
no.
vendor.
No.
And give the committee authority to choose which vendor.
No.
Is that appropriate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. The second one is the floor scrubber.
Right.
They've got they've looked at a couple of them and this one was demoed and it was reduced in price because it was demo. And I asked if they could demo it some more so we could get the price reduced more, but they wouldn't allow that. This is a rideable floor scrubber in the amount of $46,115. And they've looked at a couple different options and we have the one in front of you.
Move to approve.
Motion by John, second by Richard to purchase.
Well, and if I could just interject to Commissioner Nelson, it does say that in the capital project, the the actual quote has it at 44,395,
Yeah,
which
I
is
was gonna
lower.
say
So
that.
That's-
Minus the demo disc.
Yeah.
They-
Yeah.
40, so the total on,
It's 44,
after the
395.
discount, 44,395. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The next item, appliances. Jim went out and looked at a couple different places and found that locally, the items were available, which is sometimes just that in itself is,
Nowadays, yes.
but there's a list of them for a total of 9,389 to be purchased from D&D in town here.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then the video monitoring system through Arvig, amount of $13,575.
Move to approve.
Motion by
Second.
John, second by Richard to approve. Just to note, these are all coming out of the ARPA funds, which was the federal monies that we were given to Becker County. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then the trees, the shrubbery and the trees around there for the, these were purchased through Soil and Water through their tree purchase, which actually saved us quite a bit of money. In the amount of $14,869.56.
So move.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Anything else into that, Pat?
No, just the extension now on page 26, funding, I believe the recommended was for $500 from Finance Committee
Yeah,
to fund the leadership training at extension.
this came through our 4-H and extension meeting. It was a request. This is the emerging leadership program, which has been ongoing in Becker County for many years. I think in the past it was requested by Bruce Hine, and I think during the pandemic, I think it got lost, and the group is now asking us to pay for half that leadership school. And that the total is 1,000, so a request for $500.
Move to approve.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Erica. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. And that will not be chosen by extension committee. That will be chosen by the alumni of that group. Those, the next, and they usually go from east, they change the location of the individuals receiving that, so. And you can. Okay, anything else under administrator? Moving on to finance.
Is it fair, should we do zoning minutes after the?
Oh, is it after that time?
Oh, you want to
Uh,
convene this zoning?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll do zoning being it's 9:30 and
People here for.
people here for that specifically.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Planning Commission recommendations from February 22nd. First order of business, Richard and Dana Laney requesting an amendment to remove all stipulations from conditional use permit recorded document number 680083 to allow for an expansion for a total of 24 RV sites and 21 mooring spaces. Gotta get to that page. Recommendation was to approve all 24 sites and removal of all stipulations except for stipulations number 5 and 6 with findings.
What are stipulations 5 and 6?
5 and 6 would be the 5 to 6 foot high trees and 15-foot intervals and the L-shaped fence.
They've already done those, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I anticipate some individuals speaking for or against this. Let's start. We're going to put a little time limit on this so we can move fairly quickly. Try not to reiterate things that have been stated in previous comments, if you would. All the commissioners have just received, I believe, all the letters of correspondence, so we have those. And we've gotten one actually just this morning that came in, so we should be clear on all those. I think we all had a chance to review all of them. So if you want to do any more than reference your letter. So we'll start with those in favor, and if whoever wishes to speak in favor of this application at this time. if you have any comments or if you, do we,
I have a question. I'm Richard Laney, for the RVC.
yep. Richard or Kyle, do we usually do opposition first or I can't remember? We usually do we? If you're out, let's listen to those opposed and we'll see if there's any comments and we can, I'll be fair on this, so but let's keep it fairly short if we can. Anyone in opposition to this, please state your name. Please come forward and at the desk and state your name and your address for the record, please.
Deborah Nayrud. I'm on the north side, full-time resident on the shoreline, and I'm also the president of the Toad Lake Association. I've attended many of the meetings over the last few years that they've applied for different times. Several times they applied for the 24, which you guys voted down several times. And there was many good reasons why it was voted down, and none of those reasons really have changed. So now going back to the 24 again, there was, he did have the opportunity for the 8. There's no parking signs yet on the lakeside, which was part of the conditions for the road safety with the people crossing. And so now if we're going from 8 to 24 sites, that people are going to be parking on the lakeside because they're going to be bringing their coolers. They're going to be bringing all their stuff over to their boats. And there's just not enough area on the lakeside for parking four-wheelers and golf carts and vehicles. And there's supposed to be no parking signs put on that side, and there wasn't. And he was truly open all last year. So that was one of the things that did not get met and certainly needs to be met. The other thing is, I know there's been comments that, it looks good right now, and it does look good right now. I condone that it does look good, but most of the reason that it looks good is because you guys did put the conditions on it. You guys made them make the fence. You guys had them put the fence around the garbages or around the area around the campsites. So that we wouldn't see the garbage container and any other things that they had. You guys made him plant those 6-foot trees. He had little shrubs to begin with. So those conditions, if you do approve additional sites, which I'm against, but if you do, you guys still can make sure that those are some conditions that are put on that site so that it maintains looking good. And it does look good right now with the 8. I will say that. So if you do have more, they certainly still have to have those L fences around the garbages for each site. And then also there was, I guess one question is again, he was approved for the 8 lifts and docks, but nothing went in last year. Why was that? He was supposed to get approval from the DNR. And as far as how much foliage and so on that he could take from the shoreline. Now all of a sudden he's going from 8 to wanting 21, but he hasn't done anything as far as putting anything in last year, which he had the opportunity to do. So has there been any DNR involvement? Have they approved taking out more of the shoreline? I don't know, but that is certainly a question you guys need to make sure of. The other thing was the drive. So he wanted a drive coming in and a drive going out. My understanding is that the township did not approve the second drive, and that's why right now he has a log or something blocking that drive out. Well, it's probably not a problem with 8 units, but I'm guessing if you're going to have 24 units in there, there's going to be a lot of congestion and vehicles going in and out of there. So again, my understanding is the township did not allow him to have that second
Just for
drive.
clarification, that's a county road.
Or
117, and with the plan, there's no second approach. There would not be the way I'm looking at it, it's not even doable with the number of units then. Is that correct? So there could not be a second approach if this went through as.
Right. So that's my concern is then you're going to have one coming in and not anything going out. So there's all the 24 going in and out of that drive. So just more congestion that way too. But I just wanted to confirm too that there wasn't going to be a second drive coming in and out of there, going in and out of that road. So I guess at that point, those are some of my questions. So why didn't anything get done last year when he did have the approval as far as docks and lifts? And is there DNR approval on that? And again, no parking signs. A big thing reason that you guys did deny it before was the road safety. And so that concern is still there. That hasn't gone away, and it's going to be from 8 to 24, which is even more of a concern. So that's all that I have right now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I think we have a couple
Barry,
call-in people. I
yes,
think I hear you, and I think that's Clark. Clark, is that you? Go ahead.
Yes, it is. Okay. Thank you. My name is Clark Lee, and I live. Can you hear me loud enough, Barry?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Clark Lee, and I live on Toad Lake at 20552 County Road 117, Osage, Minnesota, approximately 1/4 mile from the Liney RV Park. Likewise, that is my permanent residence as well. As I cannot physically be present at your meeting today, I wish to thank Chairman Nelson and his fellow commissioners for the privilege of being able to offer my comments. The website did not have the complete package on it, so I have to assume, and as you mentioned, that the letter I wrote for the February 22nd Planning Commission meeting was included in your packet, so I won't be redundant by repeating what was contained in this letter. But if any of you have any questions on any of my comments, I will be more than happy to answer them. Today, you are being asked to remove all stipulations from Rick Laney's present CUP, yet, as you obviously have noticed, the applicants, Rick and Dana Laney, didn't even take the time to present you with a drawing of the project that accurately portrays anything with the exception of the placement of the 24 RVs. Dock placement is wrong, dock legend is wrong. It indicates a proposed fence, it indicates incorrect well location, there's no setback information and so forth. I would like to remind everybody that this RV park was denied 3 or 4 times by the county commissioners, but yet Rick and Dana just kept coming back as a small child would to their parents when they were denied something. And time again, because at that time there was no 1-year rule regarding denied applications. Finally, it was decided by the commissioners to approve a CUP for 8 RV sites with no expansion, but with specific stipulations, as we all know. At numerous planning commission meetings and county commissioner meetings, we all know that Rick, his attorney, and Douglas Sage, I'm assuming Doug is probably there this morning, have stated that the stipulations contained within the CUP are ones that the Lake Association and lake property owners have insisted upon. That simply is not true, as we all know. If my memory serves me correctly, the commissioners listened to everybody that offered comments pro and con, then closed the public comments and proceeded to vote on each of the stipulations currently contained in the CUP, as well as additional suggested stipulations that they voted not to include. All of us that were against the RV park accepted the final decision of the county commissioners, as we should, and Rick's attorney accepted on his behalf, as I don't recall that Rick was even at the meeting. I think he was on vacation. I ask that you deny the application in front of you today, the request, as a decision is a decision, and to remove any or all stipulations is simply not fair to anyone but the applicant. We accepted the county commissioner's decisions, and Rick should be willing to do so as well. And I'd like to remind everybody that if you are going to approve anything, the county commissioners have the ability and the authority to approve the number of mooring spaces, but it has to be subject to the DNR approval for vegetation removal, and his current permit may well be expired because those permits are only valid from May 1 through September 1st of every year and must be renewed annually, and I have no way to check that, but the county could certainly check that. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Clark. Is Yvonne online? I think we had noticed that she was wanting to speak online. Okay, if Yvonne, if you're on, we can't find your number or your person, so if you could maybe hang up and call right back in. Is there anyone in the audience? Oh, we have someone?
Barry, when I came on, signed in, it automatically said you are now being muted. press *6 to unmute, so I physically had to do that to be able to speak. That might be the same with Yvonne.
We don't see her she's dialing
Okay.
back.
She just texted me and says she's muted. So I'll see out of it.
Anyone else in opposition today?
Hello?
Yvonne, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us? We can hear you.
Yes, I can. Okay, great. So I'm Yvonne Kangas. I live at 21067 County Road 117, just north of the proposed RV park. Thank you for letting me speak. In 2004, this property was rezoned from ag to residential. In May of 19, the Lineys presented their plan for an RV expansion to the planning and zoning. But after much discussion at that meeting, they realized they didn't have their ducks in a row and they asked the request to be tabled indefinitely. They came back in March of 21 to planning and zoning. And after much discussion with that committee, they were denied. I ask you to revisit the meeting minutes from that planning and zoning meeting in March of 21. Its primary reasoning for denial, as it states in the minutes, was it's adding a commercial business that would be detrimental to this residential area, along with a host of other reasons such as the 2004 PUD, parking, facilities, noise, traffic, safety, along with issues regarding the lake and its dockage was the reason for denials, according to the minutes. As a property owner, I am now sandwiched between two commercial businesses, Bambi's to the north and Rick's RV or Liney's RV Park to the south. Allowing this to expand to the extent of the request, in my opinion, is a violation of my rights as a residential owner to have these commercial businesses next to me, and because of the PUD and the CUPs that were already set in place by the county. I would also like to add that there is still a big issue of the safety on that road and the lack of adequate land area use on the lakeside. Where do they propose people will congregate? I ask that the Liney expansion request be voted down and all stipulations that were put in place by the county commissioners individually be kept in place. Do you have any questions of me?
Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone? Okay, thank you. And anyone else in opposition?
I live at 20576 County Road 117, just right down the road. Campground. I really have, I mean, this has been going on 2019. This has been going on since 2019. We've been give and take on it for the last 4 years. It all boiled down to one meeting and everything was set. Everybody agreed to it, both sides, and I think it's worked out really well. The 8 campers, he hasn't got 8 campers in there yet. He hasn't got his dock in yet, but I mean, when you say something, when does it last? I mean, how long does it last? This was all give and take. Everybody agreed to it. Everybody accepted it. And it's there now. So I'm thinking he got what he wanted. Let's leave it at that and move on. I mean, it is a residential area. It's not a commercial site. I mean, would it be any different if it was a gas station? I mean, it's a commercial property now. So I just don't see any reason to expand it. We visited this and I don't see a reason to go any bigger. That's what I got.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in opposition?
Hi, my name is Rick Lee and I live at 43405 218th Street. The main question I have, it's the same as everybody else, but with the addition to this thing, does he plan on pulling these trailers ahead and putting another row behind it? That was one of the main things back in the day was the distance from the road to the first campers and stuff like that. And if that changes, that's, the safety thing comes in even bigger than it was before, so.
What is the, on the one that's current, what is the setback from the center line of the road? And currently, it looks like the setback would be maybe 100, 95. So it's gonna move them forward 15 feet.
So you don't plan to move them forward?
So they are staying at the one, so this diagram's not accurate.
What I got is 110 setback.
It's 110 to the center of the, it's not 110 to the
Front.
I think it's 110 to the center. No.
of the
They all are 110.
110 from the front of the building? Or,
To the middle of the road?
To the middle, from the middle of the road, correct? Yeah, that's the regulation. Yeah.
So I guess I'm wondering is, does this thing go farther to the north with an additional 2 campers on the end?
I would assume so. Is that the,
And is there a row behind there too, going into the
not,
existing farmland? We don't know any of these. No,
the map doesn't go, the second row doesn't go all the way to the end because of the wetland delineation, so it doesn't go quite all the way. And then the third row and the fourth row are very, very short.
It's on 109. Man. There. I'll just shoot it looking. Map up on the screen.
Is there, do you have any other comments on?
no,
at
I
this
just didn't know where the rest of them were going. I thought they were gonna try to jam more in there and clutter it up so that the niceness that it looks like now will now just be a trailer park.
time? Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak and opposing it? Anyone else?
My name is Al Champagne. I live at 43120 State Highway 34. I'm right down the road from this project here. And anyways, my problem is, like the traffic. I mean, I know they said they were gonna do an impact on 8. I don't know if that's been done. Impact on the usage of that area. I don't know if that's been done yet, but you know, if you get all these vehicles and then you're gonna have 4-wheelers, probably these people are probably gonna be racing. I mean, I'm just saying the impact on the area. I mean, I'm kind of a quiet kind of person and all these people around the lake, they feel the same way, I'm sure, that, you know, the impact on the lake and the area there, you know, from being a landowner and a resident, you know, these people come in and just disrupt everything for the season and then go away. But that's my comment. I just, the impact on that little road, you know, the safety and, you know, where they're gonna park and all that stuff, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Al.
thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Last chance in opposition? Anyone speaking in favor of this other than the owners? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of it?
Douglas Sage, 21246 County Road 117. I live at Bambi Resort. I think it'd be a nice addition to the lake. You know, you hear all these comments about safety, road safety and all that. Well, I pulled a request from the sheriff's department to see just how dangerous his road is. And I wrote, you have that information in my letter, so I don't even know if I should repeat it, but in 18 years, there's been 22 crashes. mostly with deer. No pedestrians, no, no bicyclists, no anything. It's not as dangerous as they portray it to be. A lot of these people that are portraying it as dangerous, you can find them walking up and down the road all summer long, walking their pets, riding their bikes, all up and down 117. Also, they have their 5-mile walk run on the 4th of July weekend, which is the busiest weekend around the lakes. They have a 5-mile walk run for kids and families and everything else up and down that road. That's how dangerous it is. And they always come with all these concerns and no facts about anything. And that's where I have a problem. You know, they say about the shoreline, for instance, you know, it's going to ruin the shoreline. And yet, there's people, you can go around the lake, whose areas are washing away every year. You know, they wash a little bit every year. And what do they do for their stuff? Nothing. They just let it alone. They're always quick to go about somebody else, but never minding their own stuff. You know, they want to restrict it, Rick and Dana, for, you know, for what they could have. I mean, that's what they're asking for, is what all the statutes say they can have. And these people want to restrict that, and yet they'll turn around and want variances for impervious surface. And some will do it multiple times. And you know, what changes? Life changes, you know. I've never opposed anything that anybody ever wanted to do to their properties. But I really have a problem with people that point fingers when they've got one point and there's 3 more pointing back at you.
Yeah, and I always say that with all rules. I think that's human nature for all of us.
Yep.
I mean, we all want what we want. I mean, it's human nature.
That's
It's
right,
human
it is.
nature, and I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so come on up and we can.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Gail White. I'm a
Said Gail.
Gail. Yeah. I am a landowner in Toad Lake Township. I do live in Wolverton. My address is 1857 180th Avenue in Wolverton, Minnesota. I have grown up around the lake and I have enjoyed it tremendously. Right behind you on your sign says tourism. That is what Becker County promotes. Okay, and Rick and Dana are trying to do that. And as a county, you're promoting tourism. And I do have a letter that I did send. And I think that little sign right there negates a lot of things that have been said. There's a lot of personal attacks. I find that disgusting. I don't understand why you let that go ahead with the personal attacks. This is, if you want to say, a business that wants to come in, and I don't think we should be attacking people personally. Tourism, that's what you promote. And I think for what Doug said for Bambi's, that road, if it's one of the major concerns, first of all, it's called being a parent. You watch your children, you protect your children, and you make sure that they know the rules of the situation and they do not cross the road. My brother's grandchildren have rules. They do not cross the road. They know that. I knew that as a child going up, going down to the bay to fish. You do not go on the road. That is how it is. Doug mentioned the walk run. It's going on down there. There are people every single day that bike that road. There are people every single day that walk that road, Yvonne being one of them. Okay,
Again.
and that's not a personal attack on Yvonne. That is just a fact. There isn't, like Doug said, the road isn't as dangerous as everybody portrays it to be. So, like I said, I did write a letter, but that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
My name is James Elanimi. I live at 476200 Street in Toad Lake Township. I am presently a member of the chairman of the town board. And as a as a chairman, over the years, we have looked at Liney and thought that he has done a pretty good job of maintaining his property and making it look nice, and has complied pretty much with all the stipulations that were relevant. And as far as you mentioned that the road is not a township road, it's a county road with the second driveway. So that was not true, you know, as far as the earlier comment. But I can only speak as an individual. I can't speak as a board there, but what I've seen Rick do and complied with, he's gone beyond, I think, what has been required by any RV park in the county. And if you look at the other RVs parks in the county, I see them spaced relatively close together, and if you drive around, you can see it. Many parks, and the way it appears to me on paper, looking at his drawings there, at the drawings of the proposed drawings, is that he will have a definite nice looking RV park. So with that, I just thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
We'll try that again. Richard Laney RV Park.
Thank you.
The reason that I'm asking for the stipulations to be dropped off because they really have no bearing on the lake. They have no bearing on the traffic. They have no bearing on the area. This park is isolated. There's 1,200 feet of shoreline on it. As in the drawing, if we were allowed to expand, we wouldn't do this all at one time. This would be over a period of a few years. If it was passed, I would be looking at probably 5 or 6 units this year. The reason that we're coming in at this time of the year is because if it does get approved, we still have to apply for all of the licensing and the permits and whatnot, so that if it goes through, that we could do something in the spring. As far as the docking concerns about having permits and whatnot, the DNR wasn't able to come out for whatever reason until late August, beginning almost September. And that's when they issued our permit to remove the bulrushes out in front. It got moved a little bit from where we wanted it. We had already rip-wrapped an area, secured the shoreline for it, but they moved it off to the side. Well, we had already told the campers last summer that there wouldn't be any docking because we didn't have the permits for that, or from the DNR. As far as the parking signs along the road, well, that would be something with the county board. And we didn't need any because we don't have any docking. There was no road crossing, you know, so that just wasn't an issue. That's just some of the little items that get inflamed, that he's breaking the rules. He's doing this, he's doing that. I'd like to go to that number 5 and number 6. The screening, the transplanting. The reason that I'd like that pulled off of there is at some point here, we'd like to be able to remove a tree or two for putting docking in and out in the spring and in the fall. The trees were always part of the plan. They're going to tell you that we wouldn't have put in any trees or fence. Those were all in the original plan with the 24 units. They just want to take credit for trying to make the place look nice, but they don't come and run a rake. The L-shaped wood fences, garbage cans. We had gotten advice from Doug, no garbage cans outside. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, have the people keep their garbage cans inside, and when they take out the garbage, take it directly to the dumpster. No raccoons, no garbage cans. So this L fence, is it to hide a grill? Our grills, have they become that unsightly that we have to tuck them? We have to put up a fence to hide somebody's grill? You drive around the lake, you see everybody else's grill. I don't understand, because all of this stuff, really has no bearing. These should be, most of these are all management decisions. Now, I went through them one at a time, and I don't know if you guys want me to do that, but I can be brief as to why that they don't mean anything.
You, not right now. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe depends on, I don't know what the board's thinking. So
Right.
let's,
Okay.
why don't you just wait here and we'll get back to you and see what, I want to kind of get a feel of what the board's
Okay.
thinking. And if we need to go into those, then we will. Okay.
Okay.
At this time, we can call back Richard in a minute if we need any explanation, but what, I guess it's a new board, we have 2 new members. Last time this was negotiated, we had a different board, we had different, maybe different insights to what was wanted and needed. I guess I'm gonna ask the board what do we feel now compared to then? And
I'm confused on them stipulations just because we want to get rid of all but 5 or 6, or what?
that was the recommendation from the.
All but 5 and 6.
All
But
but
Richard,
5.
you're talking about 5 and 6.
Well, I talked about those 2. And the reason that those 2 got pulled off was there was action on them less than a year ago. We were trying to move the trees out a little bit farther. And we did get a change from a split rail fence to a board fence. You know, and that was going to be in there anyway, and that's going to stay there. It's just like the campers. They're not going to be moving back to the 95-foot setback, but we just want all to follow the same rules that everybody else in the county does. If the setback is 95 feet, then it should be 95 feet. Why should it be another 110 feet? Each one of them gives up another 760 feet or 50 feet of space, of usable space.
So
So that's why those 2.
Yeah, so we're going to get rid of everything but 5 and 6. Is that?
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would get rid of 5 and 6. We're not going to dig up the trees. We're not going to take the fence down.
Okay, so get rid of you're asking.
Yep, just get rid of them. Those should be park management.
I think where the confusion is the planning commission did not vote on 5 or 6
Okay,
because of the year, because they were denied a year ago.
Correct. It's-
Attorney said it was gray area.
County
Yep.
attorney has said this is not a new application, therefore that 1-year rule doesn't apply. I didn't see any value in removing 5 until he insinuated that he wanted to pull a dock out through there. I mean, the trees were there. I was like, why even touch it then? But he has a different explanation now.
Well, there would be where you walk across, I don't know, I guess it's difficult for, where you're gonna put your docks, that's another management decision, so I don't know why we would address that here either, but if the trees are there, there certainly would be an opening where you could have a crossing and you could pull them through that.
Yeah, I should have explained that a little bit better. If you hire these companies that take and put docks in and take them out, they pick them up with a forklift on tractor and they carry them sideways. So you got 24 feet of dock when you're going into the park. That's why at 15 feet, you're going to brush one. But if you removed one tree, that gives you 30 feet. Now you can go in with the docks to store them for the winter and take them out in the spring. That's the
Well,
only reason for that.
I don't see that as something that's, you get them up on shore and you can turn them and pull them with the Ranger 4-wheeler. If with wheels, that's pretty.
Well, then we have to buy a Ranger.
Well, I think your pickup would do fine. Or your tractor and loader. Yes. If you get what you want, you should be able to afford to buy a Ranger.
Oh, we got a lot invested.
Um,
We can work around that.
I guess I'm looking for what the board is looking at, and the recommendation was to approve. At this board level, we can accept that recommendation, move to accept as is. If someone does that, then they can, someone else can make a motion to amend that, to change that if they want. So I'm wishes of the board at this time.
Question for Kyle, being at the planning commission, Eric could probably correct me too, but there was discussion on that second driveway, so it'd be one way in, one way out. And that would probably involve, under the plan you got here, moving unit 16 back. So I'd open that up.
Yeah, and that, the road business isn't a big challenge to us. I've talked to them at the county And basically, it's politics. We want this thing to cool down. If I can get a one-way road, fine. If I can't get a one-way road, fine.
Because there is an approach basically that
Yeah,
has been there for years.
You would have, the way it looks to me, you'd have to eliminate a spot.
yeah.
16.
Yeah.
60.
And we don't necessarily are gonna put in 24 units. We're gonna put in what is comfortable. We want all of them to be spacious. We just want to be able to have up to the 20.
Now, on our map that we have, it doesn't show any parking.
Oh,
besides
excess
the-
parking?
It doesn't show any parking except the, on the, where the trailers are. Do you have, Kyle, do you have a better map to show where where the parking of, I mean, because
Looks like there's 2 parking spots for each trailer.
what I'm asking, like the trailers, if you bring a boat down, you're not gonna,
Boat trailer.
right.
The map doesn't go out farther, but up our driveway, there's another 15 acres they can park on. And
I
that's only a
mean,
couple
is
hundred
that
feet.
part of the plan then?
Yeah.
So there's trailer parking?
Oh, yeah. there's
You
one.
can't, obviously you can't you don't want to park
Right. Yeah,
vehicle with a
trailers
trailer.
wouldn't be parked in there at all.
They would be beyond that farthest east road.
Yeah.
That little, the shortest road they would be beyond.
But you do have a spot for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Acres.
And that would be as business then and not.
Excuse. Yeah, if you want to talk, which we prefer you not, please be recognized by the chair, but, if you have a question for that, how, that would just be your parking would be an extension off
Yeah.
the third road then.
Yeah, because there's 36
would be a-
acres that are involved in this RV park area. And there's lots of ground behind that where, yep, that's where any boat trailers or boats.
Is where the boat trailers are proposed to be parked, or is that viewable from the road or the lake
No.
or?
No, that's up on our farm.
Because you have 160.
Acres.
150
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's not all obligated to this campground.
No, just 36.
I think
But
that's
that would be way back on the farm.
right,
too.
but it's clear you're not tying up your whole farm. You could
No.
do other things, other whatever, where there's. no-
Hogs, I say hogs.
Hog barn.
There's some more permits.
That,
We're
you might,
agricultural.
you think you got this room full now? Well, we're working on making sure. Anyway, you know, and the last time we worked with the commissioner we had some, I look at it, I'm not as worried about as much as the camp part of it as the lake part of it, the water usage, with 21 slips. I mean, I look at, you have 8 buildable lots out there. I mean, if you had 8 buildable lots, you'd sell them individually. And if they had two units per dot, or, you know, you can have as many as you want if you're an individual lake owner. What I'm saying is you can usually come with a couple, you usually have a couple per buildable lot. I mean, maybe you have a boat and a pontoon, or a boat and a jet ski, or, so that's more my concern, is the lake usage. You could probably tuck these campers farther back, but it's nice to be, in a little community like that.
Mhm.
But, so that's more my concern, the water usage than the lake, traffic.
I got a question for Kyle. We talked about this earlier. I just want to make sure I'm correct. The DNR has final say of how many mooring sites can there
Our
can be.
ordinance determines the number of sites, the DNR determines the placement, dock configuration, vegetation removal, all of that.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
And with the 21 spots, are you looking at any boat lifts, or are you looking at, because a boat lift is 1.5 spots, correct?
Correct.
Right, yeah.
So she's asking if you plan on mooring or boat lifts, or you?
Oh, Doug has informed or, educated us to where we're on the windy side of the lake. And what they do at Bambi's is that it's mandatory that you do have a lift, because if you get the rough storms and whatnot, if they're mooring, they can tear the dock off. So we're probably looking at a lift on.
So then with 21 spots, that would be
21 divided
14.
by 1.14
14 boats then in the lake.
If they have a lift.
14
If they
lifts.
have a lift.
Yep. 14 lifts.
And right now you have 8. You're approved for 8 with lifts or 8?
8 lifts.
Yeah, 8 lifts.
That was 21 spots. It wasn't 22. Was it 21? What?
21.
So here's where I am. I have done a lot of reading and research and contemplation on this. And what I have thought is, I think in reading all of the letters that have been submitted, there are a lot of emotion in those letters. And really what I need to look at when making a decision is the facts, really. And according to our zoning rules, they are meeting or exceeding what is required. So I think as far as the expansion, I think that's, they have the space to do it. When it comes to, I share Barry's concern with the road, going up to, although if we're looking at 14 boat lifts versus 21 boats, that's a pretty big difference. As far as the stipulations go, I know that there are some, one of them specifically being the non-transferable or not transferable to a non-blood relative, but however that is. That was one thing that I brought up at this planning and zoning training that I was at, and that is not
binding.
It is not binding because conditional use permits go with the land. They do not go with the person. If that was a stipulation we wanted to put at that time, it would have had to have been an interim use permit, because an interim use permit goes with the person, not the land, or it's time limited. So as far as that stipulation, for sure, that is, it's not legally binding. So I don't think it should be in there.
But you could add it now.
No, you can't actually.
This is a new application. Oh, this isn't new.
It's an amendment. So you can't add additional stipulations to an amendment. You are only, is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, and also you touched on the interim. We don't actually have an interim permit in our ordinance, so.
So we can't. And I would agree, especially looking at, in my research, I did look at many of the other conditional use permits that are in Becker County, other resorts. And I know we can't necessarily compare resorts to resorts, but it does seem as though a lot of the stipulations that are put in this one are really management rights. And I did get, the Laney's provided me with their contract that they provide with everybody that has an RV. And I wanted to make note in the discussion, because one of my concerns is the road. And they do have in their contract that walking and biking is one of summer's great pastimes. Locals have voiced concerns over pedestrians walking in tandem and not moving when people are trying to go to work. Please keep that in mind as there are year-round residents. So they do have it addressed in their contract to be mindful of the people that live there. So I would be in support of removing the stipulations with the exception of following the planning commission. I would like, I guess, more discussion on the voting slips, what everybody else's thoughts are.
Well, my experience living on a lake, that you can have 14 boat lifts, and you'd find a hard time throughout the year, you see all 14 are off the lifts. If most, I don't think they'd average 50%.
No.
I live on a lake where I got neighbors who got 5 or 6 boat lifts. And smaller lake, but we got over 3 times the residents. And as far as the traffic on a township road, we live on one of the highest traffic township roads in the county. And there's always walking and biking and bicycle races darn near every weekend. And it's manageable. Yeah, you have to watch out. I think part of the education is educating the people that are walking. I believe state law, you're not allowed to walk on the traffic surface and obstruct traffic. I see it every day. They walk right down take one whole lane up, won't move. You have to stop for another car coming. So a lot of education. I'm not saying kids. This is with adults. And I think it's manageable. I guess I stated at the planning commission, I dealt with this road for over 40 years as highway superintendent. So I know a lot of the issues, a lot of the issues we've had over there, just maintaining it. Now it's part of it's paved, part of it's an auto steel surface, and it's an improvement for the area. And along with that, it's perceived that speeds will increase unless you do an actual radar out there, you don't know. I know Lakeview Township that I live in has purchased a couple of the radar indicating signs.
Oh, yeah.
And they put those up throughout the township, even on county roads with the county highway department's blessing. So alerts the people and they can track how fast people are going. One of them was put right up on my driveway, and the highest on it's been somewhere 60 miles an hour on a narrow township road, but there isn't that many, but it's, I think it's all manageable. We can work with things. And from what I've seen so far, the 8 units have managed fairly well, so. Yeah, and I think the planning commission is pretty adamant that we passed this before and wondering what, passing on the county board, what we're gonna do, and they had some issues, so I bring those up at a later time, so.
I make a motion to go with the planning commission's recommendation for the additional sites and removal of the stipulations.
I'd second that to bring it to a vote.
Was your motion to remove all stipulations, including 5 and 6? Or
5 and 6 ain't on the planning commission, are they?
Planning commission left 5 and 6.
Yeah, I would leave, I'm gonna go with what the planning commission.
so you're concurring with planning and zoning, leaving requirements 5 and 6 and going with the 24 and 21 boat slip, 21 mooring space, 21 slips, which equates to 14 lifts, correct? Okay, is that what you second?
Okay.
Yes.
Upon this further discussion, though, I'm not sure if you're gonna go back to the highway department. We had that discussion here last June or July about the second entrance. If you want to move 16, you should discuss that here.
Oh, that campsite.
Right. I mean, we have a little bit of discretion to move your sites a few feet, give or take this way for utilities, but actually moving a whole unit should be known. Obviously, it's gonna come back. It can't go laterally north or south, so it's gonna need to.
What he's saying is if you have any intention of putting another
one-way
approach,
road.
if it's allowable by the county, and if you choose to do that, you should ask us to allow you to do that now instead of later, because you'd have to come back to this board to do it later.
Okay, and if
And
we
I-
decided not to do the one-way road,
Then you've got a motion and a second on the table, on the floor right now to do that. And to not put in that, right now, it does not have you as a one-way road or a,
okay, go ahead.
But do we need to, are you saying, Kyle, that he should address, if you go with the 2, to address what to do with lot 16?
Correct.
That if you decide to go with it, 16 will need to be moved, and that needs to be addressed by the board?
And what I would suggest there is that that you allow it at his discretion just to be out of the first tier of development, which would be 16 would be allowable to be moved as long as it's beyond 267 feet. That would put it at least in the 3rd row or beyond.
or you could say, or you could allow the road to go through the second approach and remove 16.
Yes. And that's,
So and then you would only be allowed 23.
yeah, if you want to eliminate it.
I mean, if you want to eliminate it, that would,
Oh, I see, but yeah.
if you wanted to have that road come out the other end, you need to move or eliminate lot
Right.
16.
Gotcha.
So what Kyle has brought up is if you would want that clarified now.
Okay.
If you want to remove that lot, and if you want to remove a number, if you
Yeah.
put that would be, or if you want to ask that we move that to the back row.
Second tier, development, how I would word it.
Could Richard amend the motion to,
Yep.
with the option of removing 60 and moving it back if a second driveway comes in?
Yeah.
You'd have a second that question.
I'd second that.
It's a friendly amendment to your motion. So your motion now states that if he chooses to put that second driveway, that second approach through, if the county allows it, that unit 16 has to go in the behind second tier or third tier.
Yep.
Or farther back.
Yep.
Is
Not a
that what
problem.
your motion is?
Yep.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
I got one thing.
Yes.
I don't know how to say this correctly. So if you, let's say you have 21 mooring sites, you don't have 14 lifts. You said that you were advised not to tie boats up to your docks. So would you not allow that, or would you only allow 14 lifts? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know exactly what
Day
you're
docking
saying.
is kind of,
Would you allow, would you like have one dock be day docking and then that would take up, what, 4 spots?
would a day, yeah, it's the day docking doesn't apply.
That's what my question, does day docking apply to moorings? So if you have 14 mooring sites with lifts, can you have a day dock? Sure. Okay.
But they can't be tied up, day docks. They're not overnight slips and there's no overnight pull up to shore.
Correct.
Okay.
Purpose would be essentially unloading, loading.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
With this, you could have a combination at this time of mooring and, but you'd have to fall under that total of 21. You'd
Yeah,
have to do the math on how many.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if we went with the 21 mooring, as lifts went in, then that number goes down to that,
Right.
only that 14. Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we got a lot of catching up to do. We have one more item in planning and zoning. We are supposed to be upstairs at a reception. Do you wish to the board, do you want to go up there now and come back down here?
It doesn't matter to me.
Are they doing
Well,
it
let's
right now?
finish Kyle. Yes, I'm sure. Are they, should we go, could we just recess for a little bit?
Could recess, it's a great idea.
Let's finish yours.
Next order of business, Deanna Knoll requesting a change of zone from agricultural to residential for tract B. Recommendation to approve.
Move to concur.
Second.
There's a motion and second to concur. What is the size of that lot?
1.14, I believe,
We didn't have a map of that in our packet.
1.15.
Where it was or how it was separated?
Yeah, it must have been in our zoning
Yeah, we
packet,
have it.
but we had that. There's some discussion about that.
So it's tract B?
Yes, sir.
So there's currently just a storing garage on it?
There is a,
Storage.
yes, with a active conditional use permit.
What's the purpose of the 1.1 acre? What, are they selling to some other individual? Is it?
Estate planning. So some kids are getting some land and
Well, I don't know. I don't see the benefit of, why wouldn't you just make it 2.5 acres? You have a total of a 10 acre plot. But
I
you got a-
don't.
you got a
don't
motion
have
second. I don't see a good usage for it. To turn that lot into residential to get under 1 acre or to get to 1.15 acres.
Correct.
So your motion was to change the zone? That's all we need to do?
To
Yes.
concur.
It's only one motion we need?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Sheriff Glander needs to move forward quickly.
Thank you for that. I have two items. First one being a personnel request due to a resignation. for
Motion,
a-
entertain a motion to approve 1D.
So move.
Motion by John, second by Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. This is a replacement, so.
Yep.
Resolution 1E, support for armor funding.
Yes, it's in support of House Files 1075 and SF 1576 to help with cost of armor radios in the future.
Wishes of the board.
Move to approve E.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
How fast can we move through the rest of this? Any?
Power through it. I mean,
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go with Mary. She's next. Claims. I had a question on claims. Are we adding more claims to the commissioners? I've never seen some of those claims before under commissioners, and I forgot.
It's been about that in the last year or so.
There was a couple, I'll have to look, but there was a couple in there that I had not, that were new to me.
Okay.
Some fees or some.
Well, let's talk about that, yeah, because yep.
Thought we were powering through. What the heck?
Finance. We'll check that, but there looked to be some that
Okay.
weren't commissioners.
Okay. I'm requesting a motion to approve the regular claims, auditor warrants over 90 days and additional.
So move.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
I'm also requesting a motion to approve claims for human services, public health and transit.
So move.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
On the backside of the finance minutes, there is a request to add the Minnesota Landfill Coalition Participation Agreement for a study by Bar Engineering, a cost of up to $4,000.
This was approved through finance only. That's why it's just through finance, but it's to counter state rules that they're trying to force us to do those stuff for the landfill. So we're trying to,
Yeah.
trying to get ahead of, trying to provide them more accurate information because otherwise we might get ramrodded. Anyway, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Erica. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Next, we have the license list.
Entertain a motion to approve 1C.
Move to approve.
Richard,
I'll second.
second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 1A has garnered a lot of discussion. It's replacing two licensing clerks with one. And-
Excuse me, Chair, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 licenses on the license list.
Oh.
I
I
have
only
one.
have one on the,
On the,
You only
on
have
the
one?
agenda. Yep, I'm
Okay,
not sure
sorry.
what page it is, but I
You
have
don't
a
have-
3-2 off sale renewal for County 6, bait and gas in Lakeview Township.
I make a motion to approve the
Second.
3-2 off sale renewal for County 6 gas and bait.
okay, motion by Dave,
So move.
second by John, right, John?
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 3-2 on-off sale renewal by Whaley's. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
I'll second.
Second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Off sale for Richard off sale and Lake
So moved.
Corner. Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. On sale with Sunday's renewal for the pit.
So move.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye, we missed Lake's Corner.
Lakes-
No, they were both on the off sale renewal.
Oh.
We put
okay.
Lakes,
Okay.
yeah, I think we.
Okay,
Corner Liquors.
And we did
No, we've got both of them.
Okay.
all of those, which one are we on?
We're on the club on sale with Sunday's renewal.
Green Valley Golf Course and Cormor Lake Sportsman's Club.
So move.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And we did the gambling permit already.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, Mary.
nope. Now we're on to resolution 323 1A,
A.
requesting to convert 2 part-time motor vehicle positions into 1 full-time position.
This went through courthouse and finance, discussion. It will cost us, probably won't cost us anything this year by the time we get the hire. next year ongoing, it'd be about a $20,000 increase because of the change. It will increase the hours. So better service, better full-time staff over there, more longevity. The negative is the 20,000 ongoing. But I did feel that as attrition comes and we have another part-time leaving, that position would be looked at to seeing if it's needed. Because I don't know that it would be. So through attrition, I would look very hard at the next part-time position that's opening up, which may be if the person takes the full-time.
Yeah.
And with that said,
Move 1A.
okay, one motion by John,
There's enough said.
second by Richard.
I,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, so, Carrie? You have anything more, or is it just the proposal review? Thank you.
Yeah.
We got to get upstairs.
Yep, you do. In answer to our RFP for our salary on comp study as well as our market study, we did have 3 vendors that responded. The DDA, CBIZ, and CESO. They're all initials for different companies. Difference in cost. The high one was $213,000. And then the other 2 were relatively close in price, with the DDA coming in at $83,875. The DDA is one that I am familiar with. They've done 39 counties here in Minnesota and 80 cities. So fairly well established here in the state of Minnesota. I did have some questions that I did get clarity from the Miss Melvin, I believe. And one of my questions was that we wanted to ensure that they were going to allow for the complete review of all of the job descriptions and having the employees take part in that. But how the proposal was written, I was concerned that they were going to charge us per job description. So I did get clarity from her yesterday that they do have a standardized format that they do utilize for that. And so our office would be able to do a lot of that front end work, and then they would review it. So that is included in the total price. As far as the maintenance going forward, this is obviously something that the board and I've discussed before, that once we spend this large investment on this, that we will need some maintenance going forward. But once we get all of this in place and the scales and everything redone, market study, et cetera, for the first few years, we're not going to have the ongoing costs that I was anticipating. And that, again, I just didn't want it to be unexpected costs to maintain this. So I did get my answers and they were hopefully positive. So my recommendation, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think we will want to have maybe not annual maintenance on it,
Maybe
but
every other year.
we will want to continue. We want to keep it
the road there.
more reliable than what.
I think it would be good as I was reading through it, the thing that popped in my mind is I think it would be very helpful at negotiation time.
Yes.
Which would be every couple years, that I think that could probably be savings in us trying to.
yeah.
To try to play
Agreement.
catch up. Yeah, well, also, yeah,
Yes.
yes. So it is a large
Done
investment.
with every year.
It is a large investment, so certainly once, if the board so approves this, then my recommendation would be certainly that we continue to maintain, this in place, so.
I think I prefer the DDA that dealt with our local city of DL
Yeah.
and Lake County and stuff, so.
Seems to be
Yep.
more.
I'd make a motion to approve the DDA.
DDA, yes.
Oh.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and I too agree that they've done Clay County also at Detroit Lake, so, and I think it fits very well with what our goals are for negotiations, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good step for us to get this done finally.
Yes.
And we want the dollar amount included in that, in the minutes for 80.
You just put up to the 83,000 because it may be a little bit less if we're doing
Up.
some of our internal.
Up to 84,000. It was 83 and some change, up to 83 and whatever the,
83,875.
okay, thank you. Judy,
Good morning.
couple easy ones.
2 capital improvement expenditure requests. There are 2 maintenance requests for something called GIS support, and that's $33,335. That's normal. It didn't change from last year. And then, so I'd like your approval to get that paid. And GIS is all of our cool maps and such.
Okay, that was in the amount of $3,335.
$35.
I make a motion.
Motion by Dave to approve, second by Erica. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
I have a second request, which is for some, it's again, a normal request for $3,126. And that is for a storage area network out at the jail that we use to back up from here to there. So we have kind of a little bit of a separation. And that's for $3,126.
Move to approve.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Erica. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Steve? Well, I wouldn't say that. Oh, I mean, last but not least, Steve.
I got a few things. Capital purchase request to purchase some dumpsters. This would be purchasing 26 dumpsters, and there was a correction on the amount requested. That should be 29,799 instead of 28,000 for 2 in the packet.
799.
Move to approve the purchase of dumpsters.
Motion by John, second by Richard to purchase 12 8-yards and 14 6-yards for $29,799. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Second item is resolution 032231B. It's actually a resolution that will allow us to apply to get a Green Corps member to work on mattress recycling and some other solid waste diversion. Yeah.
Okay.
Move 1B.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Erica. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
You talked about bar engineering, recreational advisory committee. If you don't mind, we'll just table that for now. And bring it
Okay,
back.
tabled.
All right.
Tabled till
And
brought
you're
back. to
taking
the
care of
board.
the childcare issue, so.
All right.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Have to recess a
I
lot
know-
earlier.
I know, we gotta put a break.
I gotta use that.
Too much coffee.
Eyes are yellow.
Just leave my stuff down here.
Thank you.